So I just finished watching Fear the Walking Dead Season 8, Episode 2, titled Blue Jay, and I gotta say, if I'm going to make one of those like TLDR sort of things for these videos, I guess what I'd have to say is I definitely liked this one more than Episode 1, but it's still goofy as all hell, like all Fear the Walking Dead is. So I don't know, I'm not really saying it's a good episode, it's definitely better than what we got in the introduction episode to this season, the final season, might I add. But anyway, I figured that would be a good introduction, so let's jump right into a bit of a recap. So we pick up this episode getting to see June and her after 7 years. For some reason, she's still hanging around P.A.D.R.E, just shooting blow darts at some of the P.A.D.R.E people. For what reason? To cut off their fingers and put them in a jar. Like, really? What is that a jar of? Why do you have a jar of this?
What is that a jar of, dude? What is that?
That was definitely my first thought, but we get to follow her a little bit, and as she's doing her thing where she's fingering people, hey, get your mind out of the gutter, whatever. Anyway, she's doing her thing where she's fingering people, then out of nowhere, some guy just like runs into her room in this little like shack that she's at and is like, I'm looking for my daughter, have you seen her? And June's like, no, get out of here. Which I gotta say, for Fear the Walking Dead's dialogue, they actually did it okay here, where it didn't feel too fake. Fear the Walking Dead has a big plague of Gimple talk, and what is Gimple talk if you don't know? Well, Gimple talk is when characters say things like,
Jerry, you are a faithful steward, but your words leave me pitch-kettled.
Now that's pure Gimple talk, but you didn't really get a lot of that here. So you have a scene of June and this individual talking because he's trying to find his daughter, but June obviously is like, no, get away from me, I don't want to be around people. So that goes on for a little bit of time, and then there goes June trying to get more people to finger blast, but in doing so, she ends up shooting two people with the blow dart who just so magically happen to be Dwight and Sherry. Who would have thought? So, coincidentally, she knocks them unconscious with her dart thing, and when she goes to see who they are and she's like, oh crap, this is Dwight and Sherry. Out of nowhere, some kid is like, stop it. And June turns around, and it's Dwight and Sherry's kid, which was pretty cool. I think they called him Finch or something in this episode, but we got to see Finch acting, honestly, pretty goofy. Like, the casting was a little silly for him, because I didn't think his acting was all that good, but whatever, he's just a kid, whatever. Anyway, he's pointing a gun at him, and he reports to P.A.D.R.E that June took out the two people that Finch didn't know. He didn't know they were his parents, and that June killed some random person. So that goes on for a little bit of time, and then eventually Dwight and Sherry just happen to wake up, which is crazy because those blow darts took forever for everyone else to wake up, and now all of a sudden Dwight and Sherry just wake up within like 5 minutes of being knocked out from that thing. I don't think that's really believable when your whole job is to be cauterizing and cutting someone's finger off in the process. I don't think the timeline worked out at all. It was just a little too convenient, like Fear the Walking Dead goofy fashion. But anyway, Dwight and Sherry wake up, see that it's June, and they're like, oh my god, where have you been? Sorry, like, what a crazy coincidence. Anyway, so eventually Dwight gets around to saying to June, hey, now that you did this to us, you gotta help out Finch. He's having appendicitis, we think, so can you please save him? You were a nurse. And then they basically force June to help save him. So that's what the whole plot of the episode is. Dwight and Sherry go off with June and Finch to go get his appendicitis worked on and all of that stuff, and they decide to do it on this train, where on the train apparently there was once a cure for the Walker virus, because the people at P.A.D.R.E forced June into creating some sort of cure with radiation, and it didn't quite work. So while they're in there, we're discovering all of that, and in that mix, out of nowhere, the guy who barged into June's little shack earlier in the episode comes back and is like, hey, I'm looking for my daughter again. So they go through the train, and for some reason, he's pointing a gun at them, and Dwight deflects the gun, which accidentally causes it to shoot out the fuse. coincidentally, like all of Fear the Walking Dead's fashion. But anyway, the fuse goes out, so the rest of the episode is them trying to turn on the fuse again or get the power back on so they could work on Finch, who's trying to get his appendicitis taken care of. And in doing so, that random guy who's looking for his daughter finds his daughter, and he ends up killing himself by getting eaten by his daughter, which is a ridiculous way to go out. But anyway, that goes on and on until June gets back to Finch, and at the time June gets back to Finch, out of nowhere, P.A.D.R.E just shows up and forces that stupid walker on a tripod sort of thing that we saw in the trailer that I absolutely couldn't stand, where they put that guy's head on the tripod and they force that head to bite Dwight and Sherry's child, Finch. And honestly, I will say the acting between Dwight and Sherry there was really good, but that whole sequence was just absolutely ridiculous. And yeah, that's kind of the end of that storyline, and it just goes on like, oh, we're going to cure Finch, because we don't see what happens to him, but in the trailers we see he's fine, which is another ridiculous thing that The Walking Dead does. They show you what's going to happen before it happens, just like they did with Negan, Dwight, and all of those spin-offs. They got announced before the end of the show, which is ridiculous. That's a whole other thing. But anyway, that was most of the plot of the Dwight, June, Sherry, all of that stuff. And then after that takes place, we get a quick scene of Morgan and Madison being taken, assumedly back to P.A.D.R.E, and in doing so, they have a nice moment where Madison and Morgan are talking about all sorts of things, and how he lost Dwayne, and all that stuff, which is very exciting. And essentially what occurs is Madison creates a diversion for Morgan to go escape and get Mo, and that's how the episode ends. Now, on paper, this honestly was a pretty good episode, and even in practice, it was a good episode. It was enjoyable to watch, and I think that really stems from the fact that we have June and we have Dwight in this episode. I love Dwight. I loved him in the regular Walking Dead series, and I like him here. Obviously, he's kind of just an accessory in the show, but I do like his character in the show, so seeing him interact with June, who is one of my favorite Fear the Walking Dead characters, was just so great. Their dialogue honestly did not feel that cheesy. It felt good. His performance, I'm talking about Austin Emilio's performance, playing along with the child actor and Sherry and all of that, it was just so well done. He did a really good job of making the dialogue seem believable, seem realistic and authentic, and I really do appreciate that, because in the first episode we got none of that. But of course, this episode falls victim to all the faults of the regular Fear the Walking Dead cliche, which is the show being really, really goofy. Like, first things first, at the start of the episode, we see June, who's using, like, blow darts on people to take their fingers off, like I mentioned, but what's the point of June hanging around there? I know Dwight tried to explain it in the episode, like, oh, you gotta get farther away, I know it's, like, it's hard to get out of here or whatever, but, like, seriously, what's the point if she was actually going to escape? Why is she just, like, escaped to exactly where everyone knows she's going to be? And why is she still there? Why doesn't she go somewhere else? Sure, I guess maybe you could argue that she's trying to watch out for everyone else, like Dwight, Sherry, and all of them, whatever, but still, it's just, I just don't get it. Why wouldn't you have her go somewhere else? I guess because it's convenient for the story, like everything is, like the fact that Dwight and Sherry are the ones that get shot. Look, I understand the point of this episode is for Dwight and Sherry to come together with June, but the fact that it went down this way where June shoots them both and is like, oh, hey guys, like, come on, really? This is another prime example of Fear just being stupid. Why? There's a million ways you probably could have set that up, but this way was just not the right way to go about it. And then, to make matters worse, you have them telling June she has to perform an appendectomy on a kid, which, as I was watching the episode, I was like, you know what's crazy? Writing the show is not like performing an appendectomy, but these writers treat it like such because they write such confusing, stupid stories. Anyone could do this. It's not performing an appendectomy. It's writing a screenplay. Any of us fans could write a better show than what we've got. Honestly, like I said, though, this episode wasn't terrible, but still, up to this point, really? But another silly thing that goes along the line of convenient moments in this episode is the scene where the guy, I don't remember his name, but he accidentally shoots the control panel. Just another convenient plot point. It's just ridiculous. I wouldn't be be faulting it so much if this happened like once in a blue moon, because in storytelling, this stuff is bound to happen where you set up these crazy coincidences. And look, it's a zombie show. I get it. You're supposed to suspend a little bit of disbelief. I got some comments on that on my last review, but seriously, I get it. But this show used to be grounded in realism. All the Walking Dead shows used to be, and now they're just so crazy. Like, come on, you're using too many conveniences. So he just shoots out the control panel, and now the story is all about them having to go turn back the power on because you shot the control panel. Like, come on. It's like what happened with Grace in the last episode, which I didn't even talk about in the last review. Grace just comes in on a boat and headshots all the walkers. Like, really? You're telling me she got that lucky? Because that's like impossible. Not even some of the best sharpshooters on planet Earth could do that. It's just crazy to think about. And then here's this episode again where he just shoots the control panel just randomly when he's getting his gun flown out of his hand or something. It's ridiculous. And this isn't a convenient factor or anything like that, but that stupid walker head that they did. I saw it in the trailer and I hated it then, and I cringed then, and I cringe now. They put the freaking guy's head on this, like, what looks like that thing at the dentist where they bring the light down in your face. They put him on something like that and just slowly goes in to bite Finch. Come on. Not to mention the CGI for The Walking Dead's quality was absolutely terrible, which I was surprised about, because usually, honestly, The Walking Dead handles CGI pretty well, so I was surprised to see that it was pretty much dog shit in this episode with that head. It looked like something very fake, and I was surprised they fit that in the budget that way, but whatever. Anyway, that scene really made me cringe, but the acting we got from it kind of made up for it, because Dwight and Sherry, so Austin Emilio and Sherry's actress, whose name I don't remember, they honestly did a really good job, and as I was watching it, I was like, come on, like, just go up and take him out of there. But then I was like, oh, well, I guess they have guns to their heads. What are they going to do? I don't want them to die. They don't want to die just to try to do something they can't guarantee. So I thought that was silly for a second. Then I was like, you know what? I guess not. I guess it's not that silly. And then later on in the episode, after we're fully caught up with June and all that, we have that scene with Morgan and Madison where they're talking in the truck. And Madison finally asks the question that we were all thinking after watching episode 1, in asking Morgan why he can't be the person he should be. And we were all thinking that because Morgan was like this just weird version of himself that just really, I know it pissed me off and it pissed a lot of other people off, but they wrote him in such a weird way. And I'm glad Madison addressed it and was like, dude, what are you doing? Because someone needed to tell him that. And even though Madison's acting here, along with even Morgan's acting, was still a little dry, I felt really good camaraderie between the two of them. And it really made me think as I was watching this episode, man, if they just didn't kill off Madison in season 4, this would have been a really cool dynamic between Morgan and Madison. As soon as they started talking and having what felt like very natural, even if it was a little stale and like dry dialogue, I could see the camaraderie was there. The show would have been so good if it was them two as the leads, but no, the writers had to go and ruin that. But all in all, I liked this episode a lot more than I liked the first one. And that's not saying I liked it compared to other TV, because compared to other TV, this show is honestly dog shit. But I did like this for Fear the Walking Dead. It wasn't a terrible episode. It wasn't an amazing episode. It was enjoyable to watch. And this is the kind of direction we maybe should have went in with the first episode, because the first episode was just so goofy. This one had goofy moments, but at least they felt a little more grounded. At least the actors portrayed it in a little more grounded of a way. And that's not at all a fault of Lenny James or Kim Dickens, because both of them are really great. It's just the way they were written and the conversations that they have on screen. It's really odd. But yeah, overall, this episode was an episode. It was good. It was better. I hope it continues up like this, because if it does continue up like this, I'll have a probably different outlook on this season. But so far, I think this season is just doo-doo. I don't know how they're going to wrap this up in 10 more episodes. I really don't, because I feel like they're just establishing this whole P.A.D.R.E thing, and then they have to end a show. No idea how that's going to work, but again, I'm going to strap in. I'm going to hold on tight because, yeah, I'm not holding my breath for this one, that's for sure. But yeah, anyway, if you liked this video, be sure to give it a like rating. Let me know what you thought on this episode down in the comments. I can't wait to start a healthy conversation down there. And if you haven't subscribed already, I am going to be doing weekly episodic reviews of Fear the Walking Dead in between other videos, of course, and things like that. So be sure to subscribe for that. And with all of that out of the way, thank you once again so much for watching this video. And until the next one, I'll talk to you later. Peace out.